Words about books, Ben.
It is.
It
Nate.
is. Ben originally introduced this episode as filler. And you know what? Wrong. As you can see by the length of this episode, you think that's filler? You think that I would be spending almost 2 hours talking about this if I treated it as just filler? That's right. Don't besmirch my art or my honor like that. Ben!
Well, not my fault. It's kind of his fault.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
I have no idea what we're doing. You might have told me.
Yeah.
I forgot.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Because I want to see if you even remember, and my guess is going to be no.
Is it Adrian Tarn?
No, that... I wanted to ask if you want to do that for quarter one, Ben. Because we took for the bonus.
Honestly, no. I think after Sonic the Hedgehog, I think we actually might need to do something people want to hear about that we actually like.
Fine. I'll find a wrestling book that we can read together, Ben.
The wrestling book actually did pretty well. I think we could... I think we got some good stuff out of that. So that wouldn't...
All right. So it looks like... Okay, Ben, do you remember? Let me set the stage for you. It was April of 2023.
Okay.
It was a pre and also post-Trump world, Ben.
Yeah. I had a feeling it was going to go that way, but yeah.
And of all the books we read that month, The Maid and one of the Thrawn books and City
Bob
of Bones.
Thing?
This is that Bob thing, Ben.
Yeah, I remember that.
So we're here to talk about For We Are Many. I don't even think I said the name.
You didn't even say the name of the book or
the
the
Bobiverse Part 2.
I said, is it that Bob thing? And you said, yeah, and you just went.
Do you remember what happened in the first one?
There was a lot of Bobs. If I had to give you a summary of that book, I think some guy's brain got uploaded to a computer or something, made a bunch of Bobs, and hilarity ensued. It was supposed to be funny,
that's
right?
Fair. That's fair, Ben. I kind of get the impression this is like the author's fantasy.
Oh, of what? he's just uploaded to a computer, like replicating himself across the universe. What?
Yeah, and then he gets to just fuck around forever.
Doing what?
All kinds of shit, Ben.
In an empty universe?
No, because there's other life out there, Ben.
Oh, okay. That's not so bad then, I guess.
So I'm going to try to recap the first book, having not gone back and looked at any material from that, so that you get the experience I had, because it's been 2 years.
Yeah, it really has. Okay.
So, you're right. There was I think he was a software engineer, and I think he sold his company. Because I gather that's what you do. You make
that's the end goal of all software engineering. Yeah, you raise a bunch of venture capital. You come up with an idea for a product that kind of threatens somebody in big tech, and then rather than taking the time to deal with figuring out if you could actually even do that, they just buy you out.
Yeah, and he got bought out. And one of the things he bought was if he dies, they're going to, I think, cryogenically freeze his head and then thaw it out and make him immortal or put him in a machine or something.
Is it that hard to just freeze the rest of him?
Well, you only need the head, Ben.
I mean... Okay.
So I tell my wife. Anyway.
Okay.
Oh, that one's staying in. That's also what I tell my wife. Anyway, so he was like, but what are the odds that I'm gonna walk across the street and get immediately plastered by a bus? Am I right, guys? Anyway, I'm out. Best boss ever. See you later. And he gets immediately fucking destroyed.
Was his head okay?
His head was okay, Ben.
That's all you need.
I don't think the rest of his body was okay, but
I've been told
that's
all you need. Yeah.
So then they...
I think your wife told me that.
Oh God. We're off to a good start already. Just like Bob. So he's thawed, and also original Bob is dead because they put his brain into a computer. But original Bob died in the process of transfer. And then also I think like 2 generations of Bob die while training. And also the United States is now just called Faith. It's some dumb acronym, and we became a theocracy or something. And anyway, nuclear war happens, and Bob is shot off into space.
That's, all things considered, an optimistic scenario.
Yeah.
So a robot loosely based on a guy named Bob is out in space.
And also the Brazilian Empire launched one.
Oh, I do remember this. There's another evil robot or something.
Yeah. First, Bob has to kill one of those guys. Then he starts replicating himself. And
the dream.
And they make a little VR thing so that they could, be in a VR simulation of their own creation, Ben. And they give themselves really bad, cringe, nerd bullshit names. And then they just start branching off. And one of the Bobs is like a space god to a early civilization. And one of the Bobs goes back to save the human race on Earth by ending that war. And they have to come up with a solution for what we're going to do now that the Earth is basically fucked. And other
is it
Bobs
Mars?
No. Not even
because
not
that
even
would be stupid.
Because that's fucking dumb.
Yeah.
And they're finding other planets for humans to colonize. And at the end, there's a big space battle with that Brazilian guy who had nukes. And at the very, very end, one of the guys finds that some sort of sentient species came through a solar system and harvested all the organic life and resources and left it a dead solar system. So that's a problem. The end.
Okay.
So that's all I remember.
Sounds pretty good. Sounds...
So now I'm going to take you on a journey, Ben. And unlike... So this book jumps around. I think it keeps the time consistent, but it jumps around from place to place.
Okay.
So one chapter might literally be, I found this planet. It's an ocean planet. And here's some stuff on Ocean Planet. Next chapter, go somewhere else. But I'm just going to tell you the story as it happens.
Okay.
So I've got 6 story threads. It's a choose your own adventure podcast, Ben.
Is it a choose your own adventure book?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all. But you can decide which stories you want to hear first. But you're going to hear all of them because I had to listen to it, so you have to also listen to it.
Did you do this last time?
Yes.
Okay, I was going to say, this is Yeah, I'm getting deja vu. Yeah,
Yes, I did. But last
because I
time,
I found myself about to say, so oh, there's a strategy there. Do I like get the worst out of the way, or do I save the? And I was like, have I said this before?
yes. Yes, you
Compare and
have.
contrast. Yeah, like this is going to be a thing of like how much has my personality changed, because I truly don't remember anything I said, but I am getting flashes of like, wait,
All right. Well, here's your 6 options, Ben.
okay,
There's the Bob the Sky God. There is the settling on Vulcan and Romulus, because of course those are their names. Ocean Planet, Earth, the Others, or Bob Command.
let's get the boring out of the way first. Ocean Planet.
All right.
See if I can rally in the second half.
All right. So, Ocean Planet, Ben. We've got Mulder, and I cringed a bit, Ben. And every
Like
time they're named
Fox
after,
Mulder.
yes, they're
Okay.
always named after some sort of reference.
You know, Elon probably fired him.
Yeah.
Or
And
no,
now we
what is
will
his
never
name? Like
know that the
Kush
truth is
Patel
out
or
there.
something?
Yeah, that
Cash
fucking
Patel?
idiot.
I don't know. But yeah, I bet the X Files. Or alternatively, because they're all a bunch of fucking losers, the X Files department got most of the
Yeah,
revenue
they're
from
the
like
only
the.
ones that still
Yeah.
exist.
Yeah. Oh boy. Okay, so Mulder, who is a Bob.
Yes. They all have
Okay.
different names than Bob, except for the original clone Bob, who is actually the third clone Bob, but he was the first Bob who made other Bobs.
Bob Prime.
Bob Prime. Well, Bob Prime, I guess, would be the human Bob, but he's dead now.
No, that's Bob Meat.
Meat Bob.
Yeah.
Okay, Bob Prime, the oldest living Bob, made other Bobs who then made other Bobs, and one of those Bobs is named Mulder.
Okay.
And it's important to note, because I forgot this, they have a thing. I don't remember what the acronym is. It's some sort of device that they use to interact with the ship that their computer is lodged into. It's called a guppy. I don't know what the acronym is for, but they all look like Admiral Akbar, Ben, and talk like him.
Okay.
But never once have I heard him say it's a trap.
Well, they need to get sued.
It's a book. As we established in Ready Player One, you can steal whatever you want in a book.
Kinda. Yeah. I don't think people really pay attention to it, but you're not supposed to, as we established in Ready Player One.
Yeah, it's only a problem if they get a movie deal. So, he finds a water planet made entirely of water, but there's also oxygen. How is that there? My guess is algae, because duh. It
That's how
turns
it
out
got here.
there are these giant mats made out of plant life that are so large and thick that we can put people on those, and also buildings.
That's you're kind of just describing land.
Yeah, there's land made of plants down on that planet.
Okay. Like, okay.
So he's like, "All right, I'm gonna send this back to the Bobnet. That's a thing. It's Bobnet. It's at the end of the last book. They cracked faster than light communication. So Bobnet, Ben." And
Okay.
this guy's like, "All right, here's my plan. There's a ton of resources in this solar system. I'm going to harvest that, set up a factory, make 2 more clones of me, and send all this information back to the Bob Command so they can decide if humans can populate this planet." And then that's the end of that chapter. Then he learns about the instantaneous comms, and every time a new Bob learns about the instantaneous comms, Bill, who is the second Bob, pops into their VR and they are shocked, and this scene happens over and over again. And I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about it, but I wish he would stop writing it. Because I get that. Like, I get it.
I think in that one sentence, you may have summed up like half of all words about books episodes. I don't know why they're writing it, and I wish they'd stop.
So then he's like, yeah, there's a creature under there, or several creatures, that we call the Kraken.
Under the mat?
Under the ocean.
What does that mean? I mean, in the ocean, surely.
Under the sea. Under the sea.
Yeah, in the ocean.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And that's the end of that chapter.
Okay.
And then we're back. We're back way later in the book. They're talking about the Kraken and how now they have humans here. They brought humans.
Are they going to unleash the Kraken?
No.
Okay.
No. Instead, what they're like is, don't hang out near the ocean. Like, don't go to the beach, which is made of plant life, not sand. Don't go to where the ocean and the land meet, because Krakens have tentacles and they'll get you.
Now, why would there be... Is there other ocean life?
There's other ocean life, and there's a lot of biodiversity in the ocean, but I wonder why they are looking on land for food if there's no other non-marine life. Like, there's no birds, there's no land animals, because there's no land other than all the plant life. So why would a Kraken go to the surface to hunt for humans who aren't native to this biosphere?
Yeah.
And the answer is, But yeah, they brought colonists here.
You'd think it would be like a freak accident. Like, I'm sure it would happen. Like, I'm sure you don't want to be ripped apart by a Kraken. It's like a great white shark. It's like, they don't try to eat people. But, like, if you're near one...
Yeah,
it
free
might
food.
Eat you, but it's not trying to be near you.
Yeah, because it doesn't hunt people on land because it can't. But whatever. So we got colonists here already. End of that chapter, and now we have defenses in place to fend off the Krakens, and also we have a prototype flying city. That's the end of Ocean Planet, Ben.
Did we need defenses to fend off the Kraken?
Yes, because they kept coming towards us.
How big are these mats, I guess? Maybe I'm envisioning a mat that's far larger than...
I think they're island-sized or larger. In some cases, maybe even semi-continents.
So to use my great white analogy, do you know the defense I built against a great white?
You walked onto land.
I live several thousand miles from the ocean.
Yeah. That sounds like a solid plan, but what if I don't wanna? What if...
I guess get a harpoon and man up. Look, if you want to roll with the Kraken, you get the hooks that are inside the suckers,
They've also made some floating cities just out of, like, they constructed that themselves.
Dude, how many people are here?
I don't know how many they brought here, but I think it's they're trying to load it up, Ben.
Why?
Because their plan is Earth blew itself up with nukes, had a lot of different countries that didn't like each other, so let's just separate them all like they're a bunch of children. Where do they
get the metal?
Asteroids and such.
Oh, so like Bob's delivering...
Yeah, Bob's... So they have the ability to construct things, I think, on like an atomic level. You can print whatever you need to print if you have the raw material.
Yeah, but so Bob would have to provide, the humans don't have the ability to go up and mine asteroids.
Not yet, no. The eventual goal of the Bob in their sector is to get humans self-sufficient so they can leave.
Okay.
But that's Ocean Planet, Ben. It shows up like in 4 chapters.
Okay.
Quick and painless.
Yeah, that was easy. So what are the other options?
Sky God Bob, Vulcan and Romulus, Earth, the others, or Bob Command.
Earth.
All right. Let me go to Earth. We have successfully evacuated handfuls of colonists at the beginning of this book. We
Colonists
took,
of what to
you're
what?
right, sorry. Earth people to Vulcan and Romulus.
Okay.
Again, we're dividing everyone as though they're children. We're going to put like people on like, like Pacific Islanders or whatever, and Australia,
We
I
took our
guess.
most
We're going to put
logical
them on the
people.
ocean world.
Yeah. We took our most logical people. We put them on Vulcan, and then we took just a bunch of assholes that look like those people, and we put them on Romulus.
They did put the Faith United States on Romulus. That is what happened. Yeah. So there's about 15 million people left on Earth. It's going to take about 1,500 trips at full capacity to successfully move everyone off of Earth.
How nuked is Earth?
It is to the point that Bob had to create space donuts to grow food to support the population that's left.
Could I live in the space donut?
No.
Why?
Because that's where I put all the food.
Yeah,
and
that's why I
also
wanna
there are
live there.
terrorists there on Earth who want the human race to die.
Well, don't take them, take me. Put me in the donut.
No, you're going to Vulcan. Sorry.
What's wrong with the donut? Like, why do we need a planet if you can just make donuts in space?
Because I don't think that they did any. There's no like comfort measures or anything. I can't remember,
well,
Ben.
put comfort measures in.
I think there's a reason where they're like, well, we don't really need to do much with like full gravity or whatever, right?
But you could just print it, right? Make it spin.
Yeah, but also like, no.
How easy is like interstellar travel?
It's easy for Bob, but it's impossible for you because you blew up all of your shit.
I'm not asking for it then. I'm just asking for the donut.
And also, I think the donut...
like, you remember that movie Interstellar? And maybe I said this in the other episode, and I'm just bringing it up again. I have no idea. Tell me if I'm trapped in some kind of time loop here, like in the movie Interstellar. But in Interstellar, like, all the crops on the Earth are failing, right? And so naturally they think we have to leave Earth.
Yeah, that's what you do.
And there's
let's go to Mars quickly.
Well, there's
everyone in the Muskmobile.
No. They find a mysterious like Stargate that will take them to another solar system that has like 3 potential habitable planets, I think.
Hell yeah.
And the one
US
guy
gets
goes
2.
Yeah. So the whole plot of Interstellar is this guy checking out these planets, and they all suck. I mean, spoiler, they all suck. And then he does a thing where he communicates some information to his daughter or something. They go across time and space and everything. Love is the only thing that transcends time and space. It's very corny when you think about it. But then what they do instead is they just make space colonies. His daughter invents space colonies, and then when he comes back, he's like, hey guys, I found this planet we could all go to. Oh, wait, you're all on space colonies. And I'm just sitting there thinking like, okay, right. You made space colonies, but like, how was that easier than just fixing the corn?
It's space colonies made of corn.
It literally ruined the whole movie for me. It's a pretty good movie.
Well, I'm sure
until you're like,
there's
wait,
a reason.
Okay, but like, where did she get the dirt?
Donut, Ben?
Where did she get the dirt to grow the food on the space colonies? You took it from Earth, right? The blighted dirt from Earth. Why can it grow in space but not on Earth?
Because there's special space bacteria, Ben.
No, it's because Christopher Nolan's like a really good filmmaker, and
It's
he's just
Christopher Nolan.
yeah. So there's a lot of bwong,
Oh,
and yeah,
that's
whenever something
unfortunate.
dramatic happens.
He really
Matthew
did peak
McConaughey,
after Dark Knight.
yeah, Matthew McConaughey's there. You know, I mean, he's the guy, right? So he's like, and they give the black hole explanation where they fold a piece of paper and you put, you know,
Oh, I love that explanation. That never gets old. It's
yeah,
the
and then,
best.
yeah, and then there's this whole thing about how like as you
What's
get
the
closer,
fastest point? You just fold the paper and you put the pencil through it, and that's
well,
the fastest way you go through stuff.
and there's another thing where it's like if you get as you get closer to a black hole, like the intense gravity also causes time dilation. So
It
like,
also pulls you apart
well, they don't
because the
go that
gravity
close.
is
They're not.
slightly more on your feet or whatever's closest to the black hole than whatever's furthest, and
They're
so it just
not
pulls you
going.
apart.
They're not going into the black hole. They're going onto a planet that is orbiting the black hole. That's one of the candidate planets. And it's orbiting at such a distance that you'll be okay, but you're going into a gravity well where time is going to move slower for you than it does for everybody else. I'm just describing Interstellar to you now. But
Yeah,
yeah, the point is it's like why is it easier to take me
I'm sure there's
across
a
the
reason
universe?
for it, Ben. And also, shut up. They
Okay.
didn't explain it in this book. I think they explained it in the last book, but I don't know.
Okay.
So we're making a bunch of kudzu, Ben. High calorie plant life, and you're gonna eat it, and it apparently tastes like shit.
Corn syrup.
Sure. And there's the story here is that let's see. Oh yeah, there's an organization that wants the human race to just die out.
Yeah.
So they're
I
like,
mean,
"Hey, terrorism." Also, I was wrong with my projection. Is 99.9% of the human race is dead by now. Apparently.
okay.
15 million people. I don't know if the math actually checks out, but it's make-believe math because this is in the future, so, you know.
I was going to say 15 million people. I bet my rent's cheap.
Yeah, if you have a house, I
It'd be
assume that,
hard not to have a house at this point.
I mean, with all those nukes just flying around.
Eh. Cave, maybe.
And then next chapter, they're just killing a bunch of livestock because they want people to starve to death because it's easier than walking around like shooting guns wildly in the air, I guess.
We still have livestock? What?
Yeah, later he's going to casually mention that he can grow livestock, but I'm pretty sure that there are livestock still here.
Doesn't sound like we're doing that bad. 15 million people. We can still maintain a working farm. I think we could come back from that.
I think he's saying that there's a gradual ice age coming on.
I'm okay with that.
Got
I'll
to
just go
move closer
south.
to the equator.
Yeah, okay, there's 15 million people. There's tons of space at the equator.
So then the next chapter. Oh, this literally says there's another attack. That's it. Next chapter, Ben. There's even more attacks on food shipments, and also somehow the space donut was attacked. Like poison was introduced to the livestock. How did that happen, Ben?
Is he 3D printing livestock?
He had artificial wombs.
Okay, hear me out, dog. You just leave these people there, right? And you just go 3D print people on the planet.
I would start raining down more death and destruction than these guys did. That's for sure.
I think that was also in the movie Interstellar. I don't think they were planning on evacuating the human race. I think they were planning on seeding a planet with like embryos or something. And there was
Yeah,
maybe a
that's pretty
supercomputer that raised them.
Yeah, how did they get to that? How did they get to the space donut, Ben? I don't know.
I'm telling you, just
what could it be?
Just put people in donuts.
But what if we put the bad ones in who want the human race to die?
Well, you'll find out pretty quick which ones are the bad ones.
I figured out immediately that the UN official, because the UN is still around, for Australia was in on it because he was looking real happy every time the terrorists won.
Terrorists win.
Okay.
This guy's Riker. And also there's Homer. And I was like, oh, cool. Homer's not talking in that really stupid fucking voice like the narrator did in the first book that was just horrible to listen to.
Was he trying to do like a Homer Simpson?
Yes.
Oh.
It was bad.
That's a hard voice to nail.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, he's not doing that anymore. That's a step up. Well, it turns out, Ben, a tight beam signal was sent from the surface of the planet to Homer.
Oh, I thought you were going to be like, and now he's the blind poet, not the...
That would be even better.
Yeah.
So it turns out Homer his personality has changed, which I thought was a plus. He's been withdrawing. I also thought that was a plus. But they're like, I think Homer's been hacked. They got to him. How did they do that?
That's how they poisoned the thing.
Yeah. Homer poisoned the thing. So he's like, all right. Hey, Homer. Charles, I don't know who that reference is, but I want to assume it's one of the British monarchy.
I was going to say Charles Xavier based on...
Yeah, probably.
Kind of the pop culture we're pulling from here.
So he's like, hey, Homer, we figured out how the terrorists are doing it. It's so easy. Come on over here. Let's chat in person. By in person, I mean like ship to ship. Like that way they can't overhear us. Hey, what's that over there? Bam! And they shot him. And then they dismantled and found out how they got him. And apparently, yeah, he'd been hacked, but the whole time he had been conscious. Okay. All right.
So he's just trapped inside his own mind, unable to act.
Yeah, he had to obey their will. And they're like, all right, we're going to find the fucking terrorists. We know where their main source of operations are now because they shot this beam at you. So we know where they're at. We're going to fucking kill them. And then Homer leaves a suicide note, deletes all of his backups, and self-detonates his ship.
Okay. I mean, that took a dark turn.
His final words were like, find these guys and drop something on them, which I'm like, all right, that's a little... It's dark that you left a suicide note, but I'm glad you ended it with homicidal ideation. And he said something like, I can't get it out of my head, all the things I did, all the livestock I killed, the people I killed, and it's like, why
really?
can't you
just like
modify
delete
your
it?
memory?
Yeah.
Computer, delete the last 3 months of my memory. Boom.
Yeah.
What was I doing during that time? I was sleeping.
You were hacked.
Yeah.
You don't have any emotional attachment to it.
They actually do have a thing that they can suppress their emotions as though they didn't exist because they're a computer program. But he didn't want to use that. He thought that suicide was the better choice here for some reason.
Suicide is badass.
Well, I guess you would if your emotions were not being regulated.
Yeah.
That's kind of the trap of being able to regulate your own emotions.
Yeah. Yeah, he maybe should have... He maybe should have just deleted his memory. I'm sure that's a thing you can do.
Well, there should have been like
or a backup that existed from like 3 months ago.
Like a psychologist, Bob, like in VR. Like there should be somebody you could go and talk to because like you can't be objective about your own.
There's something about Bob.
There's can't be objective about your own mental health. You need a third party. That's
but instead, Homer Simpson committed
himself.
suicide. Yeah, that's where we went with that. That's where the joke character of Homer Simpson went. He killed himself after being hacked to kill other people.
To be fair, it is kind of funny. So the people that don't want anybody to be alive, is it they don't want anybody getting off Earth?
No one. Humans blew themselves back to not the Stone Age, because we definitely have more tech than the Stone Age, but we kept nuking ourselves nonstop, and maybe we shouldn't exist.
And they think the best way to go about
is to slowly starve to death in mass. Yes,
rather than just like a few more nukes.
Well, supposedly they don't have access to nukes.
Well, what if they took? Okay, but you hacked a Bob, right?
Yeah, and he can fire stuff down at the planet.
Yeah.
And that would also destroy Bob's reputation. But I'm going to go with the plan of killing the crops with Bob. Homer Bob.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, whatever. This is what's happening,
So then
it's not how I'd kill all human life. I don't want to tell you how to kill all human life, but like I think I could optimize this.
Yeah, I think you can just like.
I don't even want to kill all human life. It's just like that's me being like
Homer
a Reddit
Bob.
commenter.
I need you to print just the biggest fucking steel ball you can, or ram an asteroid into the planet,
or just fly yourself into.
Yeah, there you go. Crash into the planet at full speed. Done. But
though maybe you'd want. You see, again, I'm thinking about like how to optimize your death cult, but like maybe you'd want to consider like, okay, you have Homer Bob wipe out all human life by like throwing an asteroid at it or something, but then you got to deal with all this Bob life. So you might want Homer to survive so that he could go kill all the Bob life.
Well, they do have a few million people on Vulcan and Romulus as well, and I don't know what their plan is for getting to them. But it's going to be irrelevant here in just a moment. So there's an editorial oversight because they say that this is on Vulcan, where he finds a hut that looks like just a normal hut, but
it's a pizza
and
hut.
An old man but he sends a transmission that you wouldn't have caught unless you were looking for it specifically. You knew what to look for. But it says that was on Vulcan. I was real confused as to what they were talking about. And that was the entire chapter, by the way. I found him next chapter. And then by the time we circle back around, Riker, because that's who that is. I think I mentioned his name already. He's like...
Yeah, you did. I chose not to comment.
Good. Because by the end, after seeing Homer Simpson kill himself, he realizes that... that's really dark and morbid, and maybe it's weird for me to dress up and pretend to be a Starfleet captain. And also, at the end of this, he's like, I'm going to leave Earth. This sucks. You, other Bob, you're in charge now. I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Oh, can they do that?
Yeah. They do that all the time.
Okay.
They leave the system all the time. But yeah, he hacks into the comms for, his name is Vickers, and he made the replicant program in Australia. And then Faith stole that, Ben. And he joined up with this terrorist group because he wanted to use them to get to Bob, because he hates that his technology is being used by not the Australian government, I guess.
Okay.
That's his motivation, Ben.
Yeah. Okay.
And he's okay if by doing this,
never
he's
underestimate
literally
the pride of an Australian scientist, I guess.
Okay, let me just backpedal real quick. Australia, as a major world power, Give me a fucking break. Give me a break. You got 4, maybe 5 major cities. That's it.
I was
don't
going to say
care.
they're barely even a major power on the Australian continent.
Yeah, I don't care if you're like, oh, well, it's as big as Europe. Yeah, but what is most of it?
Yeah.
Big as Europe, and I think your population can't even fit inside California. It's so small. Anyway.
Oh, God, no, not even close.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Let me look it up. 26 million people in Australia. 39 million in California.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No fucking way Australia's a major power.
No, not unless they've you'd have to terraform Australia.
Yeah, you would have to do that plan
they literally talk about like how we would terraform Mars. Like, let's start with some places on Earth, and they always talk about the Australian outback.
Yeah. They had plans for both the Sahara and Australia to basically use nuclear bombs to carve a trench and a lake. We could do it. Because Australia, I hate to say this to you guys, Australia sucks in terms of climate. In terms of climate, you know?
Oh, yeah, I think they'd agree with that.
Yeah, you go to the outback, and it's like one of the driest fucking places on the planet because there's so many factors that prevent rain from getting there. And it's like, you know what? I think maybe we should dig a gigantic trench using nuclear bombs to fix this.
I mean,
it can't be worse than what global warming is going to do to you.
I would say the risk there, I guess.
They'll kill a lot of native wildlife.
Yeah, it's like you're playing with.
But we're already going to global warm that planet to destruction, so, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
We might as well just, like, fuck around and find out.
Well, hey, the ocean's only getting bigger.
That's true.
So
we can always get more ocean.
Yeah, you wait a few decades, and that trench is going to be a lot easier.
So, anyway, yeah. Basically, he has a little chat with Vickers, and Vickers is like, "Fuck you, I'm Australian, mate. You shouldn't exist. Vegemite in my teeth, governor." No, not that last one. And he's like, "Well, I already fired a fucking steel ball from orbit at your camp." So Vickers is like, "Well, guess what? You'll get the vehement terrorists. That's what they're called. You'll get them, but you won't get me, idiot." And then Riker's like, "No, I mean, I also launched a ball at you. You look out the window, you fucking dipshit. Pray to your god now, asshole." Everyone's dead. The end.
Isn't that what they wanted?
Yeah, everyone in the terrorist group is dead. They didn't successfully kill all human life. So, you know.
I have another question.
Okay. Oh, and also they're going to go after the ambassador because he's also like, "Yeah, I know you worked with them. So either I'm gonna let your own people draw and quarter you, but if that doesn't happen, I'll come down there and shoot you in the fucking face."
So we have the potential to digitize consciousness, right?
Yeah.
And we've only done it to Bob and one guy from Brazil.
And also an Australian. And as we're going to find out, a Chinese person. But he didn't make it.
Why not just everybody?
Because I remember in the first book, a lot of the replicants just immediately killed themselves because it was like sensory deprivation. And one of the ways Bob got around that was by constructing a VR environment and trying to be as human as possible.
So now that Bob knows how to do that.
Well, they're thinking about it. They're thinking like, how can we digitize other people? Because Bob has a computer boner. That's in another story, though, Ben. So what story do you want?
What story is that?
That's the Vulcan and Romulus story, Ben.
All right. I guess we're going to lead right into that. So Bob's trying to find love. Is that what you're telling me?
He's not trying to find love, but
love is
finding him.
Okay. And then they're going to replicate that person infinitely for all the other Bobs?
Yeah, so big question mark on the ending. So we're at Vulcan, right? This is Howard. And he set up orbital farm donuts. And on Vulcan, he also made Bert and Ernie, two other Bob clones. Can you imagine being cloned and someone's like, quick, you need to come up with a name. You're like, I'm Bert and he's Ernie. And that other person who cloned you didn't go, I failed, and then just terminates and then reclones. Anyway.
Bert, I wish you wouldn't drink so much, Bert.
Well, Ernie, I wish you wouldn't eat cookies in the damn bed!
Bert, you're shouting again, Bert.
So, we've set up a colony with Bert, Ernie, and Admiral Akbar.
Okay.
And there are raptors on this planet. That's what we called them because they just look like raptors. There's some vague differences, but, we're just...
Like from Jurassic Park?
Yes.
Okay.
There's also Brontosauruses, Ben. But they're not as big as Brontos, but they are eventually found out to be edible. So let's eat them.
No. I'm against this.
We got them, Ben.
No.
We don't want to eat kudzu anymore, so we're going to eat wildlife.
I would actually... I love dinosaurs like every boy child. And I would kill you if you tried to eat a brontosaurus. I would go like full-blown vegan on you. If I found Brontosaurus living after all this time, and by the way, there are many Brontosauruses that I could like ride. No, if you tried to kill one,
Ben, they're also vegetarians and they don't harass humans. They just keep trying to nibble on stuff.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. If you tried to kill that Brontosaurus, I would kill you.
So
eat your fucking kudzu, or I'll eat you.
So we've got Colonel Butterworth. That's his name.
Is that a person or
it's
a Bob?
A real person.
Him first.
I don't know what country they're from, but he's not Australian. He's not the faith United States, and he's not Chinese, and he's not Brazilian. I have no idea what the fuck this guy is.
I don't know, but Butterworth is a syrup name to me. So
yes,
yes,
that's what I thought of every single time.
Yeah.
I thought of the general who gives you car insurance, except he talks like Mrs. Buttersworth every time.
I would ride him down on my steed Littlefoot.
So
there's going to be like a full-blown fucking Dinotopia fantasy. Like, you know how I told you I have no interest, like part of the reason I don't get involved in like revolutionary politics is I have no interest in like trying to figure out how to lead a country. If dinosaurs were on the table, I would suddenly have found my motivation to lead the country. I will create the Dinotopia Society.
All right. Well, there you go, patrons. If you donate enough money so that we can revive dinosaur kind, Ben will put himself on the presidential ballot.
I've actually been following very closely the technology to bring back the mammoths, and the company that's doing it. They're, the first question most serious people ask is like, why wouldn't you try to bring back like endangered species first? And they are, but like the mammoth thing's the big fundraiser.
Yeah.
And it's like...
That's the one everyone wants to see.
Yeah. Dude, I'd take elephant. You can just make more elephants. I like them too.
Yeah, we're also dangerously low.
No, I'm all about it.
Anyway, we're going to drop off a bunch of settlers on this planet, and we're going to get like 20,000 of them over the next 35 years, Ben.
It's not a lot.
That's not a lot. But we're going to keep dropping them off. And then this is where they casually mention artificial wombs. They just mention it like that's just a thing, and I don't remember that from the first book. And then...
Tell you what, all these oligarchs, they keep talking about how like people need to have more babies. Get you started on that artificial womb technology. people didn't have to be pregnant.
Yeah, I love that
be a
they're
lot more
like people.
babies.
People need to have more babies, and like without any understanding as to why people don't have
Yeah.
babies.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's it. Like that's not certainly not the only hurdle, but that's one of them for sure. Yeah.
So, the leader of faith is also like, well, you're not in charge of us. You
You can call him
can't
the faith
dictate.
leader,
I was gonna call him Cranston, because his last name is Cranston, so I just kept thinking of fucking Bryan Cranston. But
which I think you're supposed to. Yeah.
he's like, "You're not in charge. Why do you get to dictate to us?" And what he
Oh, do you think
said,
I'm not in charge?
yeah,
What gave you the idea I wasn't in charge?
yeah, what
Was
Howard said
was it my godlike powers?
yeah,
That's
what
crazy.
Howard said was like, raise your hands. Who here hasn't started a nuclear war? Oh, look at that! It's just me. What I would have said is, huh? You know, I could just dump you into space right now. You're in the hull of my ship, and if you're on the planet, I can just blow you up from an orbit. What are you talking about? I'm not in charge. I'm your god now, Cranston.
Yeah.
Bow down to me. You're not going to worship that Jesus guy anymore. Or if you are, you're putting me right next to him. All right? I'm your god now. Start building your churches, asshole. I'm the only reason you still exist.
Does anybody worship Bob?
No. And they
Because
should.
it seems like something people would do.
Yeah.
For sure there'd be a Bob cult.
Yeah. There should be. And there better be. Anyway, next chapter we're hunting raptors, and they're like, are raptors intelligent? I don't know. And then he's like, I'm going to see if I can test printing organic matter in the form of oak barrels because my good pal Colonel Butterworth likes whiskey, and we're running out of whiskey, and I want to make whiskey for him because we're pals.
Are there not trees on this planet?
There are, Ben, but are any of those trees oak trees? You need oak trees to make bourbon.
Did we check that there's not an oak analog?
There's also a parasite creature on this planet that will sting you and inject you with eggs, and those eggs will go for your heart. So we need to figure out how to deal with that. And also there's some sort of vine. I don't remember this part other than their solution to it, because they're like, oh, there's a poisonous vine. Holy shit. What we do? Oh, and this Colonel General whatever also hates the names of the Bobs, so
well, if your name's Butterworth,
yeah, you don't really have a lot of ground to stand on.
Yeah, Riker's way better than Butterworth.
You at least have the out that you didn't choose that name. It was given to you.
No, I'm going to say I'd also kill you for hunting the raptors. You can exterminate the parasites.
So
not going to go all PETA on that.
So next chapter, they figured out how to get rid of the poison vines, and how it is we're just going to release a bunch of rabbits on this planet because they eat the vines, and that's compatible. And we also want to eat rabbits, so like win-win. Let's introduce an invasive species to this planet that has no natural predator, but I guess the raptors do start eating them.
And people would eat them.
Yeah,
like you can hunt the rabbits. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't care about rabbits. You're not hunting the dinosaurs.
Also, Bob's distant relatives are awake now, so he's talking to them. He had relatives like his sisters, children's whatever children.
That's kind of like not having relatives.
Well, they look somewhat kind of sort of like his sister, so he talks to them. And apparently Cranston is not holding up his end of the deal with environmental regulations. So he was supposed to you just shoot him.
I'm going to reference a bonus episode, which is unfortunate because most people won't know what we're talking
about. By the patron. It's like $3. It gets you all kinds of shit.
Yeah. $3 gets you all the bonus episodes for sure.
You can just cancel
No.
after a month, but don't do that because I still want to get paid every month. So
I think the playlist might even be in the store. You might be able to buy them just the episodes you want. But no, what I was going to say is still a better, like, I remember being kind of hard on the first Bob book.
Yeah, how dare you?
Hellhole really put this in perspective. No shot, as the kids said briefly for a while. Or no cap. I don't know which one means what, but like the point is, I'm not lying to you when I say, legit, this sounds like a much more fun and much more well thought out examination of ecology than anything that happened in hell.
Yeah, they don't just insta fix all their problems.
They're just not like already fixed when they get there. Like, oh no, he literally, one of the exports on Hellhole was their fucking wine.
Yeah.
And this guy's like, oh, I wonder if I could use my magic to print oak barrels.
And he meets this lady. He meets what's his name? Bridget? Yeah. He meets Bridget. She's the one who's like,
Bridget's the worst one.
I'll introduce you. Yeah, yeah, she
Yeah,
is.
you got to watch out for the Bridgets. I don't know. I don't remember the name of anyone else from Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, but Bridget was a fucking psycho.
Yeah, she was. So she's the one who is like, we should introduce rabbits, and he's like, okay, and we should talk more often because all I talk to is Butterworth. And then also there's a guy named Stefan. He walks in the room and I don't know who that is. I like, he talks about like how he's friends with Stefan, but I'm like, who?
Stefan Urkel?
What?
The alter ego of Steve Urkel? When he builds the machine that makes him cool? TGIF went way off the rails towards the end there, yeah.
So, let's see. Okay, here's the thing. It's the next chapter. Raptors busted through the fence. They got inside of the colony.
Life finds a way.
And then they hid inside of a shed. Or no, they didn't bust through a fence. They dug under it. And they're like, okay, that's really weird. They know that Bob's drones need to be taken out because they might raise an alert. They're hiding in a shed because they know they're going to be spotted and hunted. And then they flee before they can get got. And they're like, are they intelligent? I don't know. And then we don't talk about raptors for the rest of the book.
The answer is yes. And I will join them.
Well, we're not going to talk about them for the rest of the book because we figured, first of all, we found out a way to just wipe out those parasites. They're going to introduce something that just kills them.
Sick.
Also, there's a body odor sensor that they have. You just wave your hand over it, and that will determine if you've been parasitized.
Oh man, if we could get that down at the Yu-Gi-Oh tournament.
Yeah, that would be awesome. The Magic the Gathering and like the Comic-Con, just like any of them. Like you've all got parasites in you. You need to go home and take a shower.
I got those. I was gonna joke about like the brain worms, but then I realized that just makes you qualified to serve in the cabinet.
Yeah.
What Kennedy didn't tell you was it was like those worms from Futurama that just made everything better.
You should have tried to say that.
That's why he's purple. The blood is flowing at maximum capacity.
Oh. So this is where they're gonna dig the fence, like put rods below it so the raptors can't get back in. We're never gonna talk about them again. And he tries his first bourbon and it sucks. So they're gonna figure out like a recipe and how to age it. And I'm like, I think he might have the hots for this lady because that's where it seems to be going. And then the next chapter that they're together, he's finally made the whiskey. He started a distillery with them, Stefan and this lady, and it's definitely clear he wants to get some of that. And
He
they're
doesn't have a
also,
body.
yeah, it's going to be really hard. Not the body, because there's not going to be a body. He is not going to be hard. He's going to be non-existent in the bedroom.
You need Chad Dingleton to solve that problem.
Sentient vibrator. Done.
Ghost in the shell.
Was it as good for you as it was for me? And now I must depart.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So yeah, it really seems like they're into each other, and then he's like, okay, the Faith Colony, they don't want whiskey, what with them being like the most religiously zealous people ever, but we're
Not
just
been
gonna
my experience with the religiously zealous.
yeah, not at all. But we're gonna find local distributors that just want to break prohibition, because that shouldn't be hard at all.
Wait, Bob is doing this?
Bridget and or Bob and or
I
Stefan.
told you Bridget was bad news.
So this is when Howard wants to see if making other replicants is possible, like replicants of other people, because he definitely wants to get a replicant of Bridget, and he keeps saying like, nah, we're just friends. We're just friends.
Well, yeah, me and Meat Bridget are friends, but
Me and Replicant Bridget, we're gonna smash holes, if you know what I mean. There's gonna be a whole breach over here, boys.
What? I'm somewhat serious. I'm afraid what I'm going to come back to in a couple of weeks. I'm afraid Chad is going to take over.
So President Cranston of New Jerusalem is upset that they're trying to sell liquor to his people, and Howard is like,
Christians can drink.
yeah,
Jewish people can drink.
I don't understand. This is what I was talking about. Why would this guy still be in charge? You fucking started a nuclear conflict, and you do nothing but shout at the sky god who can wipe you out of existence at every opportunity. I'm thinking maybe I'm gonna pilot you to this new planet, and then whoops, the airlock opened and you flew out and you're dead now.
Drink this whiskey. It is my oil.
Yeah,
do this
worship
as
me,
often
bitch.
as you drink it in remembrance of me. Yeah.
Yeah, your religion is dead. You now build houses of Bob. And Cranston's like, I will lodge a complaint. I don't know who he's going to lodge a complaint to. Maybe the UN, but the UN's on Earth, that you're profiteering off of our backs because you're making this whiskey distillery. And it's like, that's my stuff. Like, and this is when I went, I don't know why these people are so brave to be an asshole to a guy who could literally bomb them from orbit. And he doesn't even have to wipe out your entire settlement. He can focus fire just on you. He can send a drone down planet side and put a buster through your skull, and you're dead now.
I'll tell you what, Space Karens, man, you never know.
But then one of the guys is like, maybe you should get rid of him. So they're going to come back to that. They actually are thinking of getting rid of him. But we're too busy because Bridget had a tumor off screen between chapters, and Bob Howard, he keeps checking in every few minutes. Like, how's the surgery going? It's going a lot longer than I expected. What's going on with that surgery? It's a little weird, but she survived.
Is it in her brain? You only need the head.
That's true. You only need the head.
You kind of have to leave that joke in now.
Yeah, I do. So yeah, so Bob is like in her hospital recovery rooms, like, I'm so glad that
How? Like the whole fucking ship?
No, it's like a tablet with his face on it.
Oh, okay.
That his ship transmits to. He's like, I'm so glad you're in here.
He couldn't just build a humanoid robot.
Ben, they're working on that. Actually,
what do you mean they're working on that?
It takes him a very long time to finally perfect a humanoid robot.
He built a space donut. Fucking Elon Musk can build a humanoid robot. Any idiot can do it.
But he needs to have sensation, Ben. He needs to feel her breasts on him when she hugs him.
Sure. Okay. Surely that could be like an end goal, and you could like do something between tablet and like full body.
Imagine it's just a mannequin with a working dongle.
It turns out you don't only need the head. You only need the head and a working dongle.
Just imagine a fucking mannequin with like a tablet glued over the head and a working dongle. He's trying to put the moves on her.
I'm telling you, you better be careful what you put in this episode, because I really think Elon Musk is going to steal that. I don't think these Optimus robots are selling, so I think he's going to need a hook. I think you might have given him a hook, if you know what I'm saying. The hook is the dongle.
It would still be a better time than having sex with Elon Musk.
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, the robot doesn't have syphilis.
Oh god. Oh.
Allegedly, satire. I don't know.
That's what being woke is all about, Ben.
Syphilis.
Telling Elon Musk, talking about his syphilis.
Oh yeah, his dad doesn't love him. I'm not saying he has syphilis. I'm just saying he looks like someone who does.
And talks and makes decisions as someone who has syphilis.
Yeah.
So he's in that hospital room as a tablet, and then Stefan comes in and goes to her bedside. And they just like ignore Bob, and they talk about, and he's like, "Oh my god, I just now realized these two are in love, and I'm an idiot, and I didn't realize this the entire fucking time. Turns out you do need more, like, I don't actually have a head, so I am useless. I'm a robot."
Well, Bob, you just wanted the replicant, right? Like, she doesn't need to die to produce the replicant, right?
No, actually, you do need to die to produce the replicant.
Why?
Because that is how replicants are made, and they've never iterated on that task.
Sure would be nice if we had infinite computing power across multiple galaxies.
Well, star systems, but yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I wouldn't want it to get unrealistic.
Yeah, that'd be ridiculous. So, yeah, and then next chapter, they're getting married.
There's Stefan.
Stefan and Bridget are getting married, and apparently he's the witness.
Yeah, I knew. That's what I was gonna say. Is he the best man?
Yeah, and he signs the distillery to them because he's gonna cut all ties to Vulcan and fucking leave.
I was really worried about who would get the distillery.
He's cutting all ties, Ben. He's getting the fuck out of there. Dexter is the next one. I don't know.
Get fucked.
He's the next Bob.
Now, I don't know if we're talking like the laboratory or
that
the serial killer.
That was my thought, but why not both?
Dude, liking Dexter is such a red flag.
Well, this is the guy who's going to be the next caretaker here, because Howard doesn't want anything to do with this.
Oh wait, does he kill the president? Because if they bring in Dexter to kill the president, then it's the serial killer.
No, he does not kill the president. In this book, we should probably stress that.
Yeah, we should stress that.
So yeah, he's like, Bridget comes and has an awkward conversation with him and is like, were you trying to hook me and Stefan up? And Bob was
No,
like,
kind of the opposite.
No, actually. Yeah.
I'm really good at a lot of stuff, but I'm really bad at certain things.
Yeah. Yeah, so I figured one of us would end up being the third wheel, and I was kind of hoping it was not me. But anyway, bye. So then, this is many chapters later. Howard left. Bridget had a kid named Howard. Little strange. And then Cranston lost his presidency, and democracy has prevailed, Ben. It was that easy. And they separated church and state. It was that easy. You just had to get rid of that guy by releasing incriminating evidence against him that is never expounded upon. So Butterworth has also retired at this point. And now they have limited spacefaring civilization on Vulcan and Romulus, just around the planets. Honestly, I was like, I think I would be limiting the human race for a bit. Like, you guys don't get space flight until I fucking tell you to, but whatever. And yeah, so much later, Howard's just chilling out in space. Turns out Stefan has a native disease, one that kills within 6 months. He's like, is that mannequin android ready for a test run? It doesn't have the dongle in the book, but I feel like it should have had a big floppy dongle in reality, Ben.
Wait. He's not seriously going to try to swoop in.
He's
like
going
at the funeral.
to the funeral at her request.
I legit thought
he was going to swoop in and be like, now that he's dead, we can be
No.
Okay.
I legit thought you were going to say he comes back to try to save this guy from the disease because he's super powerful and could like formulate a cure. We're seriously doing this though.
Yes. He's dead. Next chapter with Howard. He's at the funeral in a weird mannequin body. This is the first humanoid prototype of an android that they can pilot. And he can feel everything, Ben. And then there's a weird chapter break, but it's still him. But anyway, he's like, all right, now that the funeral is over, he's trying to be like, hey, we could still, like, when you die, we can put your brain in the Matrix. And she's like, I'm gonna pass on that for now. And he's like, all right, well, I'm gonna build you a ship and a Matrix just in case. And then he's like, actually,
it's getting weird.
Actually, we could also put Butterworth in there. And so they asked Butterworth, can we put your brain in the Matrix when you die? He's like, sure, why not? Because they need a general for military matters for one of the other storylines, Ben. Original Bob is working on AI tech. Not even AI, sorry. He's working on the Android tech, and it's going much faster now that Bob is doing that. So there's also some lines in here about older generation Bobs are like weird to Howard, and newer generation Bobs don't seem to like put a lot of effort into like their VR shit, and there's some sort of disconnect between various generations of Bob.
And like older generation of Bobs don't understand why the newer generation of Bobs don't just buy a house.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so his storyline ends when he meets Bridget in a fully humanoid body, and she's 57 and has gray hair. That sucks. And that's it. That's the end of his storyline. We don't hear about the Raptors again, and
Does he care that she's old?
No.
Okay,
like,
I was going to say he
that's
shouldn't.
pretty hot.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. Fine. I don't think I like Bob. I mean, this is still better than Hellhole.
Which Bob did you have problems with, Ben?
I think in general, he's just kind of a loser.
Yeah.
Like, even with, like, literally all the power in the universe, you just can't make him not a loser. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. He is something of a fucking loser.
Like, he got friend zoned.
Yeah.
He's a living god.
What we'll find out in another storyline is he gets kicked out by a population that hasn't figured out bows and arrows yet. Your facial expression.
Yeah, it's a shame it's not a video podcast.
That could be for our bonus episode, Ben, but I'd have to wear pants, so you know.
You don't. You just have to put the camera up higher. But yeah, do you like this?
Somewhat. Like I gave it like a 3.5 for personal preference. I was like, I find it like I don't know why I like it. It's not like it's not like high art, but it's like
it seems kind of sandboxy.
It's kind of it's got a little bit of fun to it. Yeah. Even if all the nerd culture shit makes me cringe nonstop.
Yeah, I think that's my main thing is I just don't like the vibe. Like I don't think it's as cute. Like when it's obviously trying to be cute. I don't know. It's kind of tired. But yeah, I don't know. I don't hate it. Again, maybe it's because like a lot of these things they're talking about seem to be things I very recently have read more famous science fiction authors struggle to do. So that's something. I can tell you I'd sooner give this guy an HBO Max show than Brian Herbert. But
yeah.
Okay, what's left? How many of these do I have to go through?
There's 3 more, Ben. This might be a two-parter, actually, because I was gonna say, spoiler alert. There's more plot threads that unlock after these. So there's Sky God Bob, the Others, and Bob Command.
Okay, I'm going to say let's do Sky God Bob, and then we'll stop. And we can, if that leaves enough for a part 2.
How about we'll do all 3 because I divided Bob Command and the Others into very small chunks, and then we'll be done with the tier 1, and then we can go to the other 4 next time. Then. All right, so we'll do Sky God Bob. So this is the original Bob, the most original Bob left. After he made his clones in the first book, he decided he was going to find some life, just like hang out and watch that life. And from what I remember, there was life that was showing like early signs of like tool development. There's a guy, he called him Archimedes because of course he did, and he was like, this guy is showing he's like building tools, but he did like an analysis, and this species was being hunted to extinction by what he called gorilloids. It reminded me, I probably said this last time, Samurai Jack, Ben. There's an episode where he learns to jump really high from like a caveman guy who lives amongst little fluffy gorillas. And there's another tribe of angry gorilla, and that's what I envision these people to be.
I have never seen men fly. I know fly. Jump good.
Okay.
So he called them Deltans, and he's their sky god. And he realized that the place they were in, not very well defensible, but he found old Deltan camps like on the other side of, I think, some mountains. And he was like, there was flint over there. You guys had better tools over there. You could make tools, weapons, and such to defend yourself. I don't know why you guys left over there. I think it's because there are more of these gorilloids. But now you got Sky God Bob, and I'm here to use drones to fire cannonballs through gorilloid heads in order to protect you.
Seems like you're for
There's
somebody who's
no
watched
prime
a lot.
directive.
Yeah, I was gonna say, for somebody who's watched a lot of Star Trek, you don't seem to have learned much from it.
Yeah.
Though to be fair, in Star Trek, they hardly ever do anything but violate the prime directive.
Non-stop violation of the prime directive. Okay, and at the end of that book, there was a weird mystery, I remember, that they didn't resolve, because I assumed that it just flowed directly into this book. Because they're like, I found there's another settlement even further away. Why did they leave here to begin with? That's weird. And there was this thing where he was like, did I just fuck this up by moving them here?
Yeah, probably. You should have looked at it for more than 5 minutes.
But yeah, there are pigoids here, Ben. But they're killing them with flint tools, so it's okay. And there's a medicine woman that he named Cruella, because of course he did. Maybe this was before the movie when she was a good guy.
She skinned puppies? What?
I think he just doesn't like her. Because she doesn't like his directives, because Sky God does not vengefully kill Medicine Woman like he should. Be a proper Sky God, dumbass. But he's like, hey, you need to clean wounds with freshly boiled water so you don't get contamination in the wound, I guess.
Okay.
And she's not a very important character and won't show up much after this, but I wrote it down, and so you have to hear it, Ben.
Didn't he like her? I'm still unclear.
Because she doesn't take his teachings into consideration. He's got all this knowledge, Ben, and she's like, boil water? Fuck you. We're going to rub dirt in it and tell you to get back to work. And then they get an infection and die. When Sky God said you need to boil your fucking water. The moral of the story is if a guy in a drone that can fire a bullet through your head at 1,000,000 miles per hour and he lives in space and is like, he understands space travel and you have spears, you gotta take that guy's advice, because he can violently and crazily murder your entire civilization.
Okay, but why doesn't he violently and crazily murder my enemies?
He does. He kills the gorilloids nonstop, but now he's trying to get them more self-sufficient, and they are. And also he teaches Archimedes kung fu or something, or jujitsu later on. Because Archimedes needs a mate and he needs to get laid, and part of the mating ritual is fighting other males. So he's gonna teach him jujitsu. Anyway,
that's an interesting prospect there. Do you think a caveman who literally lives and dies by his athleticism needs the advice of a jiu-jitsu expert? I say this as somebody who did martial arts
for brain man.
Yeah.
He's not strong like the other other Deltons. So we've got to rapidly get him up to pace.
I say this as somebody who did martial arts for quite a long time. I would be concerned about fighting a caveman.
Yeah.
Even with all my
would you be concerned if you were also a caveman?
If I was the only caveman that didn't do caveman shit, yeah.
So then he's calling their settlement Camelot, Ben. And then he makes a Monty Python reference, and I cringed.
Okay, well, that's Spam-a-lot.
Yeah, but he said it's only a model from the Holy Grail. Yeah, that was my response too. Just stop it.
No one has done more to ruin Monty Python than Monty Python fans.
Absolutely. 100%. We said the same shit during Ready Player One. It was terrible. Stop it. Also, it's easily defensible, and he mentions another warrior that he has named Arnold.
Don't they have their own names?
Yeah, but I can't pronounce them, so I'm going to call you Arnold. And every time you talk, the translating software is going to give you an Austrian accent.
Oh, I see what we're doing. Okay.
Yeah. So then we're another chapter later. Something hunted the Deltans to extinction in their original location. Next chapter. That's when he trains him in jujitsu. They go talk to the village elder who is named Moses, because of course. And that guy is like, yeah, no one's alive who remembers living here originally. I don't know what the fuck's going on. And I'm old and I'm going to go die now. Next one. Yeah, next one. Bob has released a bunch of drones to look around, and then, like, one of the drones is gone now. And that's weird. It seemed to be attacked from above. So, what had happened is one species attacked the Deltans nearly to extinction. They moved to another place, which is where they're at right now. But then their numbers were so shit, and they kept getting attacked by that other creature, they migrated across the mountains. So they got away from one predator, but the gorilloids outnumbered them and were stronger than them, and now they didn't have access to flint, so they were basically a generation away from total and complete extinction.
Okay.
Also, Archimedes got laid. Next chapter. Big fucking bird monsters that can camouflage themselves nearly perfectly. They're fast as hell, and there's a bunch of them. Whoops. So he shoots one with a buster and kills it, but the blood attracts more the next day, and there's a ton of them. And this is a problem, because there's like a whole island, I think. He mentions there's an island. And he's like, well, shit. And the Deltans are like, Bob, are you trying to get us killed? Did you bring us here to just get us murdered by this new dangerous predator that we have no hope of defeating on our own?
How did the Deltans ever evolve?
I don't know, Ben.
Like, if they're so ill-suited to this ecosystem, how did they evolve?
I think that they were suited just fine until he's calling them hippogriffs, because of course he is. They migrated here, and they were just so much better at hunting Deltans than Deltans were at not getting hunted to death.
Or they just migrated here from the middle and like, what caused them to migrate?
Ben, I'm not going to explore these things in detail. I'm going to take this one problem at a time and hope I don't create more problems with my solution.
Are you a supercomputer?
I'm a supercomputer with the mind of a human in it.
Yeah, but like, you're not even a supercomputer with the mind of a human that like played a single game of Civ. Like, this is basic stuff. Like, you don't understand the system that you're working in.
Whoops. Well, yeah. So the Deltans are like, Bob, I think you may have killed us all with your terrible migration plan. He's like, no, you would have died without those flint tools, but don't worry, I've got a solution. And he's like, he talks to the other Bob and is like, I need to get the technology to drop an asteroid over here. And the other Bob is like, okay, maybe don't do that.
Why doesn't he?
We have ship busters that are designed to shoot through ships. They're much larger. And so Bob is like, got it. And he fires a ship buster from orbit into Hippogriff Island, completely decimates the island. And he fucked up on his calculation because it does way more damage than he expected. And Archimedes is like, Bob, I just heard, I don't have a word for sonic boom, but that is what I just heard. Was that you? And Bob's like, yeah, also, there's an earthquake coming over here from all the damage I just did. That's That's my B, guys. And then the Deltons kick him out. They're like, Bob, we want you to go. You can kill us, and we can't do anything to stop you. But we would rather risk being killed by an angry, vengeful sky god than have you stick around.
So I understand the joke of this chapter. Like, I understand what they're doing. That Bob's incompetent, but I don't like. So was it written in such a way that he was trying to not influence them more than he had to? Like, why didn't he just
No, he was
get?
definitely trying to get them. Like, he was giving Archimedes plans for making bows and arrows, and he helped them build spears. And
Why didn't he just construct? You know, they can construct stuff from atoms. Why didn't he just give them swords, guns?
yeah, he probably should have, but I think he wanted them to be the ones to make
So that's what I'm saying. Like, he's trying to do this. So that's the
I
thing.
want you to. You can't teach responsible gun safety to someone who doesn't already know what guns are. And
sure, you can. The first person who accidentally gets shot, that's going to teach him. That's yeah. You just don't point it at anything you don't want to die. Pretty easy.
It's painted that he made a series of really rash, emotional decisions that maybe he should have thought about for a lot longer than he did.
Did this come out before or after the episode of Futurama where Bender had a civilization on his
Oh,
back?
it definitely came out after. I don't even have to look that up because that episode came out in like the early.
That was
2000s.
one of the originals. Yeah,
that was one of the original 4 seasons.
So I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, this, a lot of this Bob stuff, and I think the guy who wrote this would even admit it. This isn't really a criticism. This is just an observation. A lot of this Bob stuff just seems like kind of recycled Futurama plots, or Futurama fan fiction.
It really does seem like this is just like for him.
Like, that's the kind of vibe he's going for.
Yeah,
Well, that's like the kind of vibe he's going for. That
here's what I would do if I were a sentient computer man.
Well, because Futurama was kind of like, it had a lot of like baseline jokes, but it also had sciencey jokes. Like, I don't want to be like elitist or anything, but like jokes that, like, I want to say you had to have a super high IQ to get it. You didn't have to have a high IQ, but like you had to be like just aware
to
of
at
like,
least have a degree in nuclear physics to
no, you just had to be like
Futurama.
aware of science. Like, even if you were just somebody who likes watching YouTube videos about like science, like PBS Eons or documentaries or something, like just somebody who's like aware of the latest discoveries and stuff. Like, Futurama had a lot of jokes for people with that kind of background knowledge. That seems like what this is. And I think like that's who would want this book.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, like, we're picking apart logic and stuff because that's what we do, but it doesn't seem terrible. It's as long as it's supposed to be funny.
Yes.
Like, as long as because Bob does look like an idiot. He's supposed to be, though.
And then he, despite being a sky god, he gets rejected by
and that's the I'm picking on it, but like maybe he didn't intend for me to hear it like secondhand through your super short summary. Maybe if I read it,
well, too bad. That's what he's
more out of
getting. So next chapter, Archimedes like sneaks out. He meets with one of the Bob drones and is like, "Hey, Bob, I love you, BFF and all, but like, my status in the tribe is plummeting through the fucking earth because I'm associated with you, so I maybe need to keep my distance from you. Sorry." He's like, "Yeah, I understand. I maybe blew up a small island that I maybe shouldn't have." But and Archimedes is like, "Yeah, well, I guess it worked. We haven't had to fight a whole bunch of them." And he's like, "Yeah, that's because I keep shooting them. I killed 3 yesterday." And he's like, "Oh, didn't realize you were still helping us. All right, cool. I'm going to go now." Next chapter, Ben. The other Bob that's been hanging out with Bob is like, all right, I think it's time I go. We've been exiled. I don't really want to hang out here anymore. And finally, they haven't had to kill hippogriffs for a little while at that point. And then the next chapter, Luke is talking to him. I have no fucking clue who that is. And it's expecting me to remember who that is. I don't. But 6 years have apparently passed, and he found a huge ass planet, and then he's like, whoa, wait, what's going on here? There are Deltan gangs now.
Okay.
So, next chapter, there's a riot, and Deltans are killing each other, Ben. And it was
Same old
just
story.
and
Deltans killing Deltans.
Deltans killing Deltans. and it was all over how best to divvy up a prey animal. And Bob is like, it's population pressure. And he goes to talk to Archimedes, and he's like, yeah, see, there's a lot of tension. Maybe you should tell them to fuck off and go to this village over here. But how you do it is reverse psychology. Start talking with your friends about how you totally want to go to this other village and how you don't want those assholes to go to that village, and like, got them. And this is when I realized he never introduced agriculture to these people, because he's like, wait, you just grow food out of the ground? And he's like, stay on topic, okay? You're not ready for agriculture, okay? That's a me thing.
Yeah, maybe let me decide when I'm ready for agriculture.
You're not ready. Also, I want an android body. And then next,
can't help you with that. I can't.
So the next chapter, they have successfully sent all of what Bob calls the worst troublemakers to go repopulate another camp. And even he realizes, like, I may have just like created another problem that we'll have to solve later.
Bob, you're doing. I mean, yeah, you're doing too little or too much. I don't know.
Next chapter, many years in the future, now descendants of the original Deltans.
This literally is just that episode of Futurama.
This part is, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
There's nothing else I could say to that, but it's like they nuke each other in the end, right?
They've embellished Bob a little bit through the ages, through the generations, and he's more of like a Loki trickster figure. So that's neat. Next chapter, Ben. Archimedes is apparently aging slower, and he thinks whatever helped with his bigger brain development also made him age slower. Also, he has grandkids now. Next chapter, and also final-ish, I think. We're to the point where Bob has started helping out on the android project, and he made an android that looks like a Deltan that he can pilot around. And he goes and introduces himself to Archimedes, and Archimedes is like, holy shit, what is this? What is this strange thing in front of me? And he's like, okay, first of all, you smell like shit. You're not going to fool anyone. Second of all, you move really weird. Third of all, your fur pattern's symmetrical. That's weird for Deltans. So then Bob comes back with the next one. All that shit's fixed. And he goes and he introduces it. He doesn't like Archimedes' mate because she doesn't like him. He's bros with Archimedes, but he's not bros with Diana.
Okay.
But he blends right in, and he goes and hangs out with his family as if it's a real family, Ben, with him involved. And I think that his kid has grandchildren now, so there's 4 generations here. And Bob has longed for family. And final chapter, unfortunately, Diana is dead, and he attended the funeral. That's the end of that story, Ben.
It's weird how that keeps happening to Bob. How like problematic significant others just seem to go away eventually. I don't think I like Bob.
All right, Ben, we got 2 more really, really short
Jesus
ones.
Christ. Okay. Buddy, you gave me a hard time about Beware of Chicken. I was covering 4 books.
Yeah. This is like several books in one, Ben.
Yeah, it sure is.
All right. Well, I'll just do the short thing with Bob Command. He's working on an android project, and he's terraforming a system. That's basically all I had for that. Until much, much, much later in the book, Ben.
Okay. I was like, wow, I'm glad we had to count that. Okay.
And then the others. So this is like 10 chapters into the book when they even first start talking about this. One of the Bobs is following on this trail of destruction. Like, this system is also stripped of all resources in life. He builds 4 clones of himself to spread out to figure out what star systems are affected and scout and find these guys. For some reason, they're named after the 7 dwarves, except one of them is hungry. And I think that's supposed to be funny. It's not, but yeah, and he gets that information back to the Bobs, and we're hunting for the others now, Ben.
Okay.
And then I figured that I would, that you might have picked that one first, so I didn't want to get ahead of myself. So that's all I was going to talk about in that first batch. And then you unlocked 4 more story threads for next time, Ben.
Okay. Well, you miscalculated.
Yeah, I did.
No, I decided to try to get the boring stuff. I thought the others was going to be very exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, the next episode will be almost exclusively about them or fighting that Brazilian guy again.
Yeah, I was going to say, every time I get invested in a story about the others, I guess just Arya kills him with a knife she had because
Yeah,
just didn't
this
seem
came
right
out
to have
before
John
that.
win this one.
It didn't seem right for him to even fight the Night's King, you know? What'd
God,
you
those guys
expect? For
suck.
him to pull a flaming sword out and fight him? Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
100% that is what I expected.
Or just do anything. Didn't expect it to end in one episode.
Yeah, I kind
Seemed
of
like
expected
kind of
that they would
the
win.
building thread of the whole series.
Yeah, I kind of thought that they would win that battle, and then
Yeah.
then what do we do?
Yeah.
But no, I guess we just
So I guess I'll
stab
give
him
it that. It's this Bob thing seems like it was definitely better than anything after season. I'm going to say 4 of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Most people give it 5. I
Nope,
don't.
I don't.
Season 4.
Season
Yeah.
5 was fucking boring.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, buddy.
So next time we'll talk about the others, the war against the Brazilian man. We'll go back to Bob Command for an extremely long
What is
time.
it with him picking, like, honest to God, I guess
and
Brazil is more
Clown
threatening.
Car Planet, Ben.
I don't care. I guess Brazil is more threatening than Australia.
I think Brazil is more threatening than Australia.
Yeah. Like so I guess that kind of makes sense. Like I could kind of see Brazil becoming like a technological powerhouse. I don't know about Australia.
No, I know about Australia, and the answer is it's not.
Yeah.
It's always going to be linked to either the Commonwealth, the United States, or China.
I had a friend who was a parent. This person would never normally text me a message like this. But they were listening, I guess, to the Sonic the Hedgehog episode. And I get a message out of the blue, like 8 p.m. at night. Sonic movies are actually really good. And it took me like 15 minutes to remember where I was in space-time. And I was like, oh yeah, we did that stupid episode on Sonic the Hedgehog. And I told them that because they were doing that thing that people do to me all the time. I don't know if they do this to you, where they just heard me say something in a podcast.
So they assume that you just recorded it.
And they have my contact information, so they message me as if I had just said it in real time. And I have no idea what's going on. That happens to me a lot. And I just wanted you to know, it happened with Sonic the Goddamn Hedgehog. And I forgot what reality was for a sec. Our Yacht Plan tier patrons who are supporting our Great Escape and the ability of this podcast to continue to remind Elon Musk that his father will never love him. So, the people allowing us to do that are Isekai Sensei Sama of the That Time I Got Reincarnated in the Same World as an Anime Podcaster podcast. That is about Japanese stuff sometimes. This is Japanese stuff. You should fit right in. You should read this book. We have Jamie, the Gravy Man of the If You Want the Gravy blog. I think there has been at least one movie made of Seishi Yokomizo's work. So you should check that out and let me know if it's any good. I don't know if it's in English. Then we have Spooky Shy with a Y, over on TikTok. TikTok, it could not be banned. They tried, they failed, they came at it and they missed. And we have John Bierce, actual author of The City That Would Eat the World, coming extremely soon as part of a new series called More Gods Than Stars. You should check it out. We will be covering it on the podcast after it comes out. So if you want to read along, you should do that. And last but not least, we have Keegan, who has given me no project to shout out. So I will simply say,